Hello, I'm Professor Jim Hoover, and welcome to the final lecture of the class, Emerging Healthcare Topics. We try to keep the class fresh, and we do this by talking about topical subjects in healthcare IT that we've observed over the past year or so. So let's begin. ONC has been working very diligently over the past 5-6 years. They've cooperated with industry to develop APIs, FHIR, Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resource, as well as a whole framework for data exchange on these new APIs. The US CDI, the Common Data for Interoperability Format, and then a whole legal framework called TEFCA that providers and networks that wish to exchange data can do so within a common legal agreement across the entire healthcare network. All of this is being done under the 21st Century's Cures Act. That's the driving legislation to ensure healthcare providers exchange data with themselves and, most importantly, with patients. And technology providers must certify their tools, follow these specifications, otherwise they lose ONC accreditation. Now, April this year, 2022, was when the tool companies had to certify their products. And the next milestone was having all of the FHIR data accessible by October 6th of this year. And finally, at the end of 2022, all of the systems must be available and ready for use by patients. And that includes data that's not inside of US CDI. Any data in the EHR needs to be shared with patients and other providers. The big excitement for the data exchange was the adoption of the third version of the US CDI. There were many changes in this version, starting with the SOGI and SDOH data that was present in version 2. But now with version 3, they're expanding that information and also including tribal affiliation data. So the ONC is really making a big play to help address health inequities by including data that we can use to track the healthcare of patients with greater specificity as to their race, social orientation, ethnicity, etc. The patient demographics field was also vastly improved and includes one of my main pushing points, which was about the relationship of the patient to other patients in the healthcare system. This is mostly intended to be used for newborns with mothers, but it can also be used to link spouses together or siblings together or their multiple birth siblings together, all in an effort to prevent overlay records from occurring when two patient records are merged because they look similar because they're family members, but they do indeed represent different patients. They've even expanded demographics to include the concept of information. And beyond demographics, it's date of death, occupational data, including military service. Smoking and other statuses for health have now been consolidated into what's called a health status class. And this also includes information about pregnancy and mental health and other general information that might not be captured in the medical records. There's a brand new class for insurance data. The clinical data classes have been updated significantly as well to include care team information and other data that we can then use to help associate clinicians with the patient. And there's been a great push to update the language or vocabulary of every one of these clinical fields. And ONC is leaning on the standards of Loinc, SNOMED, RxNorm, and possibly others to define the data values inside of these clinical classes. So that's really great news as we standardize how we share information between EHRs and with the patient. Now, related to healthcare IT is the concept of healthcare mergers and acquisitions, both from a technology perspective and from a provider perspective. The biggest technology firms in the world continue to make plays in healthcare. Look no further than Oracle's acquisition of Cerner last year, but of $28.3 billion in cash. This is the largest acquisition for Oracle ever, and it's one of the biggest healthcare acquisitions I think I've ever seen. Also look at Microsoft. They purchased Nuance this year for almost $20 billion. I've met some of the former Nuance people at conferences, and it sounds like Microsoft also might be pushing to get into the EHR game, so that could be interesting. Once again, Amazon is jumping into healthcare after several other attempts in doing different things in healthcare. This time, they're purchasing One Medical for almost $4 billion, which is a 77% premium on what the stock was trading at the time of the announcement. That's a monster premium to pay. This one seems to line up very closely with Amazon's core business. It's a subscription service for healthcare, and it's a technology play. So Amazon might have a real big chance to disrupt the healthcare services market. And more broadly speaking, the transactions in healthcare technologies and in acquiring providers, the volume of deals is lower. However, the amount of the deals are significantly higher. 16% of the acquired firms, for example, have had revenues in excess of $1 billion. Those are large companies to acquire. And the average deal size has nearly doubled since last year to just about $620 million. This is an indicator that the smaller companies have already been gobbled up, and the companies that are left to be acquired are getting bigger and bigger. The consolidation in our industry is really quite obvious. What this means from a healthcare IT perspective is many things. Merging two organizations together in any industry is challenging, but particularly in healthcare where we have patient data and safety to worry about. And I've had many clients and prospective clients discuss with me the challenges they have, for example, in merging MPI data together. And organizations that you work in are probably going to be part of that merger or acquisition landscape at some point. This is something worth watching. Okay, thanks for watching the first video of the emerging technologies, and I'll see you in video number 2.